What's up guys, welcome back. It is Tuesday, which means it's time for another tank review. So this week I went over to Walmart. I am going to be checking out some of the different tanks from Walmart over the next few weeks. But today we went ahead and picked up the Marina Betta Easy Care Aquarium Kit. Now, full disclosure, this is a 1 gallon tank, so this probably isn't gonna go well. But that's okay because, I mean, this is the kind of tank that a lot of beginners end up buying. They end up buying a lot of times the 1 gallon tanks, and unfortunately, they're usually not appropriate for bettas or any fish for that matter. So without further ado, let's get into it. So at Walmart in the section right next to the betta cups are all their tiny tanks like these. So in this kit, you're supposed to get, actually it's not a gallon, it's 0.7 gallons. It's a 0.7 gallon aquarium with an easy care feature, double-sided background, decorative pebbles, and a water changing cup. Sounds great, doesn't it? It really does, but it's really not big enough. So let's go ahead and open up the box and see what we got. So here's their amazing water changing cup, because that's better than a gravel vacuum. I usually recommend turkey basters at the very bare minimum for water changes. All right. And then we got our little tank. So it has this little tray it sits on, and we got our little pebbles. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so this is one of those like self water changing things where the tank reserve is in here. There's our little background. So we've got our double-sided background. You have the choice of these lovely little flowers on a branch or this little more modern look. So that's kind of a nice little idea. And we got our lid. So this is not, so another strike, this is not a full lid. Not a full lid. And if you know anything about bettas or you watch my channel a lot, you know full well betta fish jump. So that's another strike, is there's nothing to keep your betta from being able to jump out of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse the pebbles. These look like terrible. These look kind of like those little chalky rocks, so this might take a minute to rinse. Okay, so I did rinse these several times, so I'm gonna go ahead and add these into the tank. So that kind of covers the bottom. So let's go ahead and fill this up with water and, you know, see what we got. So basically you have like a little fill line in here, and when you add water to it, then it will go into this little overflow that we have back here in the back, this little removable overflow. So whenever you would do a water change, you would just fill this cup up and pour it into this tank, the main tank, and then the rest would overflow into here. And then when this gets full, you would go ahead and, I can get it out. You would go ahead and pull this out and dump it. I rinsed this gravel off like so many times, and it is still like, this water is still super majorly cloudy. It's just like milk. Yeah. Don't choose chalky looking rocks for your gravel. I don't usually recommend white gravel in general, just because, well, fish waste. It's gonna show up like crazy. So in addition to the fact that this is only 0.7 gallons of water, this is not big enough. The ideal bare minimum tank size for a betta would be 2.5 gallons. Bigger always being better, but the bare minimum being 2.5 gallons. This is only 0.7 gallons. There's not a lot of space to be putting a filter or a heater on here, which means you would be doing a lot of water changes, which can stress the fish out every time you do a water change because you're potentially changing the temperature, you're losing beneficial bacteria, it's just, filters are usually better. Filtered tanks are usually better. And unfortunately, if I were to put a filter on this tank, it would take up probably a good bare minimum quarter of the tank. Bare minimum, it would take up a quarter of this tank. And then if I were to throw a heater in here too, it just gets all bad. It just gets all bad because you gotta remember, this is just an overflow. This is not part of filtration. This is not connected to the tank in any way. It just has a little overflow here where the water comes into this compartment. It's not one unit, it's not one piece. And of course there is this amazing lid, which is perfect if you want your betta to leap to its doom. So, all in all, I don't really recommend this tank. I do not recommend this tank, but I wanted to do some reviews on the typical tanks at Walmart that you see right next to all the betta cups. And these are marketed specifically towards bettas, and they are not appropriate tanks for them, but they are marketed specifically as betta tanks. And it's unfortunate because once you add all the things that a betta needs in this tank, they really need to be happy and thriving in something this small, there's not going to be a whole lot of space for the actual fish to be able to swim around. Typically for bettas, they need decor, they need their environment to be stimulating, otherwise they get bored, they can get stressed. And this is just not enough space to provide them with even the bare necessities, really. Unfortunately though, not just Walmart. Walmart is not alone in this. Even a lot of the mom and pop shops that I have been into have the teeny tiny little tanks, half gallon to a gallon, next to their bettas. It's just something that for some reason, even the mom and pop shops that know better and can do better and don't have like a corporate entity coming down on them telling them where they have to place things, even them a lot of times will have these tiny little tanks next to their bettas. They're just not really appropriate if you want your betta to live a long, thriving life. While they might be able to survive in something like this, long term, this is not an ideal situation for them. So anyway guys, that's all I really have for y'all today. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys and I will see you in my next video. Bye!